it's an issue that's big now, and it will continue to get to be a bigger issue in terms of, life, end of life, all of those things, the wishes of an individual, versus the rules of the state. I think those issues are going to play out more and more so as people can live longer and can be kept alive longer, even when the quality of life is truly diminished. So I thought it was a worthwhile subject to look into. And what I didn't want to do was to do some kind of polemic, where you're just sort of, giving your viewpoint, as opposed to, here's a man, here's the way he functioned, this is his sense of humor, this is his, dark side, this is the positive and negatives of him. And this is a man who had this particular cause. Believe it, believe in him or not, it's a worthwhile subject. And, Al certainly would be the actor to, I think, bring that character to television screen.
Was there anyone else that you considered for that role, or was
No.
And now you had written *And Justice for All*. He was obviously in that movie, and you had known him. Was he someone you just picked up the phone and called and said, "Do this," or did he come attached to the project?
No, he was talked about for the piece. And I thought, well, gee, I think it was Len Amato said, about, Al would be great, and they may have had a preliminary talk to him or whatever. And then I called and talked to him about it, Pacino, and we discussed it and went forward from there.
Now, you met Kevorkian, but I read that Al never
No.
did. Was that a choice he made, you made? How did...
Al made that choice. He thought that since it's looking back in the past, as opposed to Kevorkian now, and so he just wanted to collect all of the information and then create his character from that. And so then he met later, and we had a few dinners and hung around a little bit. But he didn't want to do it prior to the shoot.
And I mean, I read what Kevorkian saw it and said, "Oh, that's just like how I talk." Or, I mean, how did he get it so right then?
Look, Pacino's an amazing actor. He literally, I'll never forget, we had a reading of it once, and if you were looking at it, you say, well, he's not that good, but he hasn't absorbed the character yet. So in a sense, he's reading, but he's also thinking about, does this work, or how does this work, or other things are going on as opposed to performance in a reading. And then all of a sudden, you start to see it. All of a sudden, all of a sudden it's lit up. There he is. There is Kevorkian, and he steps into it. Mm-hmm. And from that point on, you're just off and running with a character. It's an amazing thing to see. I mean, it's amazing. You'll see him suddenly just arrive.
Mm. And with such a polarizing figure, which he's done many times, was there any particular challenges to making that character more relatable?
I don't think you approach it like, how do we make him more relatable? Mm. I think that if you meet him, you understand him. And if you can bring some of that to the piece, then you're better off for it. So there were little things that Kevorkian did when I met him, and I thought, well, that's interesting. I'll never forget, they said, he was up in the office, and they said, Jack, do you want some coffee? He said, yeah, coffee would be good. And they said, decaf? And he went, nah, decaf is for cowards. And I thought that was such a funny comment to make. And so I said, we got to put that in the script. So, we added to it. So you just want to, you collect some of those things that sort of humanizes him in a way. And the idea that he liked music, he wanted to play an instrument and whatever, and you just try to find a way to put that in there. And then how to develop the relationships, the Brenda Vaccaro, the sister, you know, so that it's livelier. And you see in it, there's a brother-sister relationship. You know, it could get volatile or whatever, or crazy or whatever, as that scene in the restaurant between the two of them. That you start to see a character. You know, so it's not just, okay, here's, you know, I mean, this guy who's playing this, and here's our subject matter. You know, that can't just take over. You got to get into the character and see the man.